Agora a gente só mexe isso aqui. Prontinho, estamos em live, gente. Dá uma olhada aí, gente, se está tudo certo.
Parece que tá assim.
Vamos ver. Agora você vai imaginar com o volume do vídeo comparado ao nosso. Cara, essa coisa de transparente não vai dar certo.
If you were anything like me, you'll probably be wondering what's going on. I like to answer that hypothetical question with another question.
Pera aí, eu vou me mutar aqui, eu vou ouvir só o coisa, pera aí.
Broadside Beach is an alternate reality game, or ARG, developer Squeaks de Corgay has been making for the better half of 3 years. Squeaks de Corgay is a game developer. You've probably seen his work being played once or twice by people in the FNAF community. Does Polar Dread ring a bell? It should. It's a good game. Play it if you haven't already. If you don't have a VR headset, watch a video on it, I guess. I don't know. Like most ARGs, Broadside Beach has found its home in the primordial ooze that is YouTube.com. They are a dime a dozen. People have been able to make careers off of the sheer abundance of them. They usually, if not always, follow the same beats, and it gets exhausting after a while. I like ARGs, I like analog horror, but please, try to name at least 5 different ARGs that aren't just the same thing under a different coat of paint. I do like a fair few of them. Some do stand out from the crowd in their own way, and luckily, Broadside Beach is one of these outliers. I don't think I'd even make a video on it if it wasn't. I'm not a slop channel. But why is it an outlier? What makes it so different? Why am I here talking to you? It's playable. Shipwreck 64 is a game that I was excited for ever since I played the original demo. In fact, I was originally going to make a video on it months ago, back in April.
Cara, tá bom,
Changed and I
mano.
completely forgot about
O
it.
áudio,
I'm glad I did.
o áudio
I
tá
think my video
mixado
would have
bem.
been good enough to do it justice. The
Cara, dá
original
pra ouvir
game
o
was
som
fair
do
art,
do
but it
jogo,
did
dá pra ouvir o
exactly
som do
what it did to
vídeo
sell the
atrás.
idea that this was an
A
old
voz também não tá
N64
muito
game.
baixa
It
também,
was a
tá?
fun game,
E qual que
scary
tá
at
mais
times,
alto?
and overall left a good taste in my mouth. If the original demo was all Shipwreck had to offer,
Cara,
I
não
wouldn't
vi
be
muita
disappointed.
diferença
But it's
do som
not.
do
There's a
vídeo,
whole
pelo
other
menos
game,
tá
and this
tocando
game
no
is
canto
bigger
e
and better than the
da
original
voz que a
ever
gente tá.
was. In the time from last April to now,
A
I've come to
voz
be
tá,
friends with
tá bem
Squeaks de
próxima.
Corgay. In an attempt
Talvez
to
um
save
pouquinho
time,
maior
I'll
pra
roll
gente,
around.
ou talvez
I
um
asked
pouco
her if you could
maior
let me
pra
know like
gente
4 days before
tá
the game was
falando.
released so I could
Tá um
wrap
pouquinho
everything
maior.
up to focus on
Mas
Shipwreck
não tá,
and
não tá
Alicia.
incomodativo não.
In response, he gave me an early copy.
Meu Deus, mano, os caras combinaram de entrar junto, mano.
Sim. Gente, eu quero mostrar uma coisa pra vocês.
Meu Deus,
Aqui,
mano.
ó.
Não, é o Fanta. É o pessoal mais lindo que eu já vi. Vocês estão prontos pra ver?
Vai lá.
Shipwreck 64 starts with a commercial.
Puta que pariu, mano.
Por que você não tem boneco na minha tela?
Mano, eu tava pra mim todo normal aqui, velho.
Eu tô sem cabeça ali, mano. A cabeça tá pra dentro. Foda.
Primeira vez que eu vejo o Diego chamando de paleteiro.
Os tempos mudaram.
Hello.
E eu brinco como vai.
Welcome to Shipwreck 64 2023.
Vai. Vai. Ah.
Vai ter.
Shipwreck
Cadê teu
64
fã?
was meant to release in 1997, but was pulled after 3 days, for reasons we now know. We've been working on trying to restore the game, and this is
Cara, tudo aquele tutorial de Minecraft, cara.
finished copy. We were able to transfer most of the game to new software, but we had to fill some gaps ourselves. This version of the game is mostly
Nice, cara, eu consegui.
Nham, nham, nham.
Deu corner
É, passou.
obrigado.
Tô te esperando, Thunder.
Calma aí.
Peraí, eu quero fazer um teste.
Bucky Beaver and his friends are trapped on an island controlled by wolves. As compensation, Bucky's friends, Walter Walrus,
Recebeu o convite aí,
and
Thunder.
Giovanni Goose, are taken captive
Recebi,
and forced to
por quê?
work for the wolves.
Aceitei.
Bucky asks us, the player, for help, as he gives us a short tutorial and lets
Isso
us
mesmo.
to our own devices. You
Então,
are on the
eu mandei de
clock.
novo.
Make every
Ah,
second count.
convidado.
From here, you were able to choose whichever character to
Ah,
help
essa parte
first.
era muito
Personally, I
saco,
chose to
né?
help Olive,
Não, a gente passou.
mainly because she was the first one I
Não, eu
saw.
sei, mas eu
Olive
falo
was sent to
assim, essa
gather
parte
coconuts for
era um
wolves,
saco de
but
passar.
isn't very good at it.
Ah, não, Thunder tem corrida.
Nem fudendo.
In Olive's
Bem,
minigame, you have to
calma.
collect
Vou
30
teleportar
coconuts
um
within
TP,
a
isso aí
fairly
como
lenient
de convidar
time
o
limit by
convidado.
punching trees and opening chests. Not every chest or tree has a coconut for you, so you just have to punch and open everything in sight until you have enough. If you somehow manage to accidentally punch Olive, you'll lose time. So don't
Não.
do that.
Meu boneco é tudo
If you can
torto,
collect the
mano.
coconuts in time,
Parece
you
o
will free
dono.
Olive. If you complete it on your first try, the time should be around 6 p.m. You still have time
Meu
to
Deus,
save
muito
another
rápido.
friend. But if you want to escape,
Como é que
shouldn't
eu...
you have a boat? By heading to the town hall, you will meet the chief of the wolves, the one in
Entrei,
control
Thunder.
of the island.
Também.
He feels sympathy for you, and only really took your friends captive because your rival disrupted the peace on the
Entramos.
island. As a sort of apology, he tells you where your boat is. It's in the forest. In pieces.
Eu hoje
He's
esse jogo
giving you
demora
the
tanto.
opportunity to find the pieces and fix your boat, which you obviously accept. In Chief Wolf's minigame, you were given the ability to use night vision in order to track down the 6 pieces of your boat, within the span of a time limit, of course. But you're not alone. There's a creature in the forest. The
Eu
time
respawnei no
limit is again
checkpoint, tio.
fairly lenient. It's not hard to complete if you can figure out what to do.
Eu
Find
tô
your
no
boat
checkpoint.
parts and you'll have your escape route.
Eu tô
Tá,
no,
Time to
eu
find
tô
the
no
rest
modo
of your
normal.
friends. If you complete your second minigame on your
Tá
first
normal,
try,
tá?
the time should be
Tô
somewhere
normal.
around 11 p.m.
What?
It's getting pretty late, and you don't
Aceitei seu convite, tô no mapa
shouldn't
normal.
be outside by midnight.
Ah, então deixa eu
We
trocar de
have
modo
just
pra mim.
enough time to save one more friend for today. In the theater, Giovanni Goose is waiting for some help. Part of his debt is to cook for the wolves, considering he is in fact the chef. Unfortunately, he can't turn the dials on the ovens with his wings, so he wants you to do it for him. Giovanni's minigame involves you running around in a circle looking for ovens that are smoking with a red light in the window. If an oven is about to catch on fire, run up to it and interact with it, bringing it to a normal temperature, making the window in front glow green. Repeat this process until every oven has been set, and Giovanni will be free. If you know what to do, Giovanni's minigame is very easy. It's not hard to complete. After your third minigame, it will be midnight. All the characters are inside their homes, so your only way to proceed is to head down to the beach and enter the hole, the place where you will be sleeping for the next few days. Right now, it's time to sleep.
Vou chamar o Pipo pra jogar Roblox.
É, chamou, porque tá jogando LOL.
In the area right before the theater, Walter is waiting. Walter's boat is stuck in a local dam, and without his boat, he won't be able to leave with you. So, it's your job to free it. Walter's minigame involves you clicking 3 different buttons.
Agora
to free
sim,
his
então já
boat out of
apareceu
the
um-
dam. Each button unlocks a
um
new
lado
area.
novo,
You
né?
find the next button, so on and so forth, until there are no more buttons to press. You don't have a timer this time, but there is another mechanic. If the screen starts to flash, you have to stand still. The screen will shortly go black, and if you move at all while the screen is black, you will lose. So, click on the buttons, play red light, green light, and free Walter's boat. Once you free all your friends, you are given the choice to either leave the island now, or stay to find secrets. By heading back down to the beach, you'll see your friends waiting for you, along with Chief Wolf. He says it's been nice knowing you, and lets you leave. Bucky and his friends head onto their
Nossa.
respective boats, and head
Caralho.
back out into the big blue.
Fechou.
Their fates
O que que fechou?
left
Não,
ambiguous.
objetivo moral.
And that was the end of Shipwreck
Ah, não, tô
64.
arrependido. Ah, não, cara.
But what if
Esse aí já tá
Vou
fechado
dar
há
uma
muito
you
tempo.
pessoa
stayed
só,
on
mano.
the island?
Eu sei o que tu quer, Jen.
Não vou entrar, mano, relaxa.
If you head
Você
over to the
acredita?
town hall, the metal bars
Mano,
that were
dessa vez eu
behind
não tô
Chief Wolf are
reclamando.
now gone. What's behind them? A new character.
Só se tu quiser que eu
Stumbler
entre,
O'Hare.
é outra
He used to
história.
live in
Mano,
town
se
with
tu,
everyone else,
se tu não me,
but was
se tu não me
disarmed,
focar, eu
leaving him in
morri.
the state we find him in. Lately, though, he's fallen for a rabbit. But he can't find the courage to talk to her, and instead opts to draw a picture for her. But he needs some help, considering his condition. And Bucky, being a good
Tá,
Samaritan,
beleza,
helps
vou
him out.
entrar só pra fechar esse negócio. Jogar
Stumbler's
uma
minigame involves
partida
you
e
running around a
GG.
cave system looking for ink jars. Stumbler needs the ink in order to paint, and if he runs out, you'll fail the minigame. Occasionally, Stumbler will knock his canvas over, and when this happens, you have to stop whatever you're doing and make a beeline for him and put it back upright. If you take too long, you'll fail the minigame. The only thing that can't make you fail the minigame here is the timer, as the timer is not how long you
Essa
have
música
to
tá na
beat
minha
it,
cabeça,
but
mano.
how long you
Tô
have
com um
until
super raidão no
if
chão.
Stumbler doesn't run out of paint
Música
and his
boa,
canvas is upright by the end of the timer, he will finish his painting, and you'll win the minigame. After you help Stumbler, he goes to hang up his painting in the theater, and asks you to come see. Heading to the theater, you find Stumbler in the entrance. If you talk to him, he thanks you again, and asks you to check up on his other paintings he left back in the town hall. So head back over to the town hall, and you'll see another new character, JD. He's a bit off, but seems to be nice.
Caralho, meu
He
irmão.
tells
Que
you that there's a
isso?
boat somewhere on the island, but it's tucked away in a cave.
Um soundboard bem alto esse negócio. Puta
This
merda.
volcano will destroy the island in a few
Pelo menos eu não tava
days.
esperando,
This is why
então
Chief
tô
Wolf was
num
angry at Bucky and
cagaço.
his friends for disrupting the peace. Him and his pack are
Agora que
going
isso
to
aqui é
die
o
soon.
logo do
He
Harold
wants
Brine
his
Game,
people
né?
to be happy before their
Harold
demise.
Brine
JD decides to take them,
Gamer.
as they would never let him save everyone, but
Ah, merda,
maybe you can.
cacetada
The
aí.
volcano
Hello?
is the only real platform
Hello?
section of the game,
Hola.
with you having to jump across various items and rock
Hola.
pillars in order to get
Hola.
over to the other side with JD. You are timed, and although the time limit is very long, if you fall into the lava, you are sent back to the start. Failing later on in the challenge will cause you to lose the entire section, so be careful. Getting to the other side, JD brings you to a large cave tunnel, and on the other side, a large barge is waiting. Bucky brings it back to the beach, right as the volcano was about to erupt, and saves everyone. His friends, the wolves, himself, but not JD. He didn't come with us. Where did he go? I'm not certain. For 2023, this is basically all there is to it. There are some secrets, but we'll talk about those later. Around the map, you'll find collectibles that don't impact the gameplay, but do give you something to look at.
E aí, Bruno?
From here,
E aí, Santo?
there is only one way to go.
Aí eu vou
E aí,
deixar descansado.
Não, pelo também.
Prepara o Discord, gente?
Posso fazer?
Shipwreck was pulled from shelves after 3 days. The game received many complaints after its
Yeah.
launch. This was Cogware's second last game.
So what do you say, buddy? Let's go rescue the gang.
Sim.
Hello,
Jimmy Nelson.
welcome to Shipwreck 64.
Jimmy Neutron, africano.
Information on the game has been very sparse since soft launch in 1997. The game would not work on any emulators, but after some tinkering, we built it up. The game was developed by Cogware Games. Two ex-devs helped us create this game. This game may
Que
have
aconteceu?
some glitches or arguments.
Me fudeu que tem guito
It is not for the faint of heart.
de porn isso daqui, cara.
This
Tem
is
gente de
exactly
pornô
how
de
we
Overwatch,
found the
velho.
game.
Só que forçado normalmente.
O personagem só dando um laçaço na personagem. É bem um laçaço, na verdade.
Eu conheço.
Considering this is how they found the game, why not do it again? This was the game that was on store shelves after all.
Minha, minha.
Oh,
Dice
I
of
don't-
Range.
I don't think I
Deixa eu
was
ver que
supposed
porra
to.
de pista é.
1997
Oh,
is when
fine,
this
yeah,
game
yeah.
becomes Shipwreck 64. This is when the
Sim,
game
pistas
becomes one
de
long
beleza.
train of puzzles that get more and more convoluted until it's so far stretched from what it was originally,
Tiger,
you aren't sure if there's an end to it or if this is still the same
Certo.
game. If you were planning on playing Shipwreck
É
64,
Silver também que dá pra fazer por Twitch também.
do not watch any more of this video.
Oh,
What
não é
will
possível
happen after
gerar
this
bem.
point is best experienced on your own. You will miss out on the best part of the game if you continue. You have 5 seconds. Still here? You sure? If you remember, you were supposed to keep the ovens from catching on fire in Giovanni's minigame. But what if... Obviously you fail, but nothing
Olha lá que
really
vai.
changed.
Vai ser muito.
So why don't we fail again?
Ah,
Nothing. But there's something playing in the theater. And before you can soak it in,
pode, vou colocar uma música aqui. A próxima que eu quero que o Fanta em específico escute. É especificamente pro Fanta.
what we just
Alright.
witnessed was the death
É pedrada,
of Gary
Fanta.
Wilson,
Tu vai gostar
a
ou tu vai
broadside
rir.
employee working as a mascot handler and the voice of Giovanni. Who was he killed by? Bucky Beaver. Or rather, the person inside the Bucky Beaver suit.
Cadê?
Brandon Lester, who was also the voice of Bucky Beaver. Now, this is going to sound nuts, but the Bucky suit is Brandon's skin. Brandon is what is known as a starling, a form of organic technology used to control the mascot suits around Broadside Beach. They are, more or less, walking corpses, a form of immortality, living in death. They have to wear the mascot suits as their skin in an attempt to stop outside infection. However, their skin suit ends up receiving unwanted side effects, such as bleeding, growing teeth, or additional non-organic objects attached to
Avisa
the
quando você
body.
pala a música, meu bot
Brandon,
tá
while
mutado pra mim.
working under Broadside
É, vou
Innovation,
colocar a próxima.
passed away after a fentanyl
É,
overdose, leaving him to become a starling.
Volta
Gary
pra-
Wilson was Brandon's second victim. His head was smashed in, and his face was boiled in oil. He was turned into a starling. He was turned into Giovanni Goose. After viewing this, Giovanni's voice is now replaced with the screams of Gary Wilson. Now, going back into the minigame, and they immediately catch on fire. And we are shown something that is just as bad, if not worse, than the murder of Gary Wilson.
Ok, agradeço que meus olhos enxergaram errado.
Seus olhos enxergaram errado.
Sim.
Giovanni is gone, and the door that was once locked behind him is now open. Welcome to Layer 2.
Well, here I come and I tell my story. Oi.
Por que você
This
consegue
section
cantar
is
até o
why
final,
I
mano?
wanted to make this video. The scene laid out in front of us is Bucky Beaver, the character,
Comparação
the
com o Wayne
idea of
acaba.
Bucky staring up at a statue erected in gold. A statue that is not of himself, but rather the killer using his skin.
Real One é boa.
The people love Brandon.
Tá, mas eu coloquei já pra
but
essa música.
the character
Pode
is
botar o
left
bot já,
looking at
pode.
the husk that is paraded. The music sells it.
Rafa?
Waltz
No,
gives me a
Franco.
feeling of something that I was
Go
not
on.
meant to see, but exists parallel to myself. It would be here even if I didn't see it. It's something that should be seen as
Ah,
something
no.
wonderful, but instead we see it for what it is. A killer.
A
After
infância tem
exploring the
tá,
area,
tá
which
vibrando
seems
aqui.
to be a diner, we end up in an art gallery. The paintings spread across the walls are of abstract design or of various characters, most notably
Diego,
Chekhov
eu
and
te
someone.
odeio.
But across the various paintings, there
Por
are
quê?
some numbers, specifically a red 8,
Só isso, né?
a blue 3, and a green 9. To the right of the main area, there are 2 locked gates. In front of the first gate are 4
Música
flags,
do Chaves.
1 red, 2 blue, and 1 green.
Ah,
And
tá.
next to the gate is a
Porra,
keypad that
Rod.
needs a 4-number
Porra,
code to open.
achei,
Using the
achei
paintings, we
estranho,
figure
ué,
out that the
não
code
reconheceu
is
não, mano.
8339. After this code, there is another that needs to be solved. This one only has 1 flag in front of it, a red flag. Looking back to the
That's
painting
right.
of an 8, there are
Oh, no.
4 more 8s surrounding the large one. So the code is
Tem que
8888.
focar do seu Madruga
Write
lá,
down these
Leão,
numbers
Leão,
somewhere.
Leão,
If you
Leão.
want to beat the game,
Vou
you
colocar o
go
tema
into
do
these.
Jax agora só aqui no Chaves.
Red means 8, blue means 3,
E tenho quase certeza
and
que você vai
green
concordar
means
comigo, Rod.
Leading on from the gallery, we enter a long hallway with a documentary of sorts
Are
playing
you-
in the background. This documentary is about Broadside Animation's creator and former CEO,
Essa
Rex.
aí, essa é boa.
Unfortunately, passed away.
É o tema do
The
Jax?
next room after
tema
is
do
a
Jax.
place called Frontier
Putz.
Street Museum,
Dynasty.
detailing the past creations of Broadside Animation, including 2 title cards for animation starring Bucky Beaver, and a drawing of a character we
No, no.
haven't seen yet, Blocked, Rex's first creation. Our purpose in this area is to find and press a red button, which opens a gate back in the diner. So, after pressing the button and heading back to the door, we proceed and find a new area.
Essa música se encaixa com muita
Bucky does
legenda
not
quando
like
eu
this
tô atrasado
place
pra
and
escola.
rather wants to leave. Looking behind us, there are 3 separate doors with Bucky's friends' faces on each one. We went through Giovanni's area, but there are still 2 others we haven't seen yet. Bucky wants us to stop what we're doing and respawn, which will bring us back to Layer 1 and let us continue the game as it's supposed to be played. But doing that won't solve
Banana.
anything. We'll head back now, but
Ah, não.
not because Bucky wants us to.
Ah, não, mano.
because we have
Por acaso
two
ele
more
mostrar que
layers
faz
to
alguma coisa
find.
no lobby. É que eu tirei a
After
bica
getting
que
to
eu
layer
tomei,
2
velho. no
once,
rolê.
the music will be fully gone from layer 1 in the minigames. Remember before when I said you could lose time by hitting Olive?
Senhor.
Ó o pô.
If you want to fail this minigame,
Oh,
you have
bom.
to hit Olive repeatedly until the timer reaches 0. The first time you do this, like before, nothing happens. The second time, we're dropped off in a new location with a tape player. The tape says Olivia's last
Ah,
phone
não.
Puta que pariu, mano.
Nunca esqueci do comentário do começo do ano do Rod. Eu odeio meu amigo Diego por ter me feito lembrar dessa música.
Tá viciado nessa música.
Qual que é o comando mesmo? É M. O quê?
É mesmo, tá pronto, é isso.
This was the last time Olivia Finch was heard or seen alive. She was attacked by Brandon and drowned in the lake by her cabin. She was a voice actor for Broadside Animation, specifically the voice of Olive. Right when we assume it's over,
É isso que eu
it
queria.
plays again.
Essa música é dos incríveis, né?
É.
Fascinante.
And we learn that not even the borders of the game are safe.
Mano,
You
pior que ele
are
tem merda,
never
velho.
safe. The third time we speak to Olive, she has something new to say to us.
Shards of glass were struck everywhere. A thick trail stretched from the broken river
Olha,
and it led directly
tu já ouviu o Jinx rindo na cal?
Oscar.
Ah, no Google não foi tanto.
Once we fail the minigame again, we
Ah,
are
o
once
vídeo
again
do
brought
design
back
no
to the
Spawn
cabin.
10.
Mas o Victor.
But
Ah,
the roof
não.
is
Ah,
open.
não.
If we jump out of the roof,
Muito do Homem-Aranha, né?
Another Bucky standing above the floating body of Olive.
Toma no
This
cu,
is the
velho.
closest thing we will get to seeing
Ah,
Olivia's
tá
death
tudo pronto aí,
at the
gente.
hands of Brandon.
Tô
Brandon
baixo
wakes
esse
up
negócio que tá muito alto.
in the game.
Mano,
Fades
é só
to
não
black.
colocar outra agora, por agora, gente.
Beleza.
Olivia was Brandon's first victim. The locked door near Olive is now open. Welcome back to layer 2. Olive's layer 2 is
O fato dela vir
It's
acelerando,
exactly
velho, é engraçado.
ridiculous. A massive pool room. In one of the first rooms in the pool, we find another
Música tinha
statue
que ser
of
canon.
Brandon. On the wall is a sentence that reads, "Code is ECDC." There's also a tape in the room.
Por que tá acelerando esse negócio, velho? Eu tô maluco.
Mano,
Caralho. Caralho.
ah, mano, detalhes running out.
Using the code on the wall, we can assume the answer is
Para, para, para,
3777,
para,
which,
para,
farther into the
para,
codes, is the
para,
exact
para,
code
para,
used
para.
to open another locked gate. After some
A gente
platforming,
tem
we
outra,
enter a
agora que tá
door
começando.
and end up back inside the
Certo?
room we found through Giovanni's layer 2. This room is the start of layer
Mano,
3, which,
O Sente não entendeu do meu
although
panetone em 2D que eu
we
mandei,
still
cara.
have one more layer to find.
So,
We respawn and head back to bed. The only way to fail Walter's minigame is to move while the lights are off. So, do that twice.
Vindo
as the
jogar
second
ainda
time you
qualidade
fail
Picasso.
is in a cutscene. After failing the minigame for the third
falou esse
time,
lado?
we see footage of Bucky Beaver.
Exatamente.
Isso pra você que é de novo.
Ué. Aqui nem tá falando que você tá assistindo o Diego.
Presumably from the perspective of the victim who now plays Walter, Nathan
Ah,
Stewart,
tá.
an animator for Broadside, and the voice of Walter Walrus. Late in his shift, he was killed by Brandon wearing the Bucky costume. He was Brandon's third, and as we know, last victim. Brandon seemed to only target the voice actors for Broadside Animation, for reasons that I am not too sure of.
Meu Deus.
The door near Walter is now unlocked, just like before. This is the last time we will be in Layer 2. This time, we find ourselves in a
Obrigado,
beach,
Michel.
and what would you know? The Brandon statue is in the distance. Every time we find ourselves at a location that requires us to learn more about one of Brandon's victims, a statue of him is one of the first things we see. It's a visual indicator that this person was killed by Brandon and turned into a mascot for Broadside Animation. When you arrive
Mas
here,
qualquer
the
coisa que
best thing to
consiga
do is to go to the right.
Aí não, né,
Here,
jogo?
we find a video showing us what to do. You need to clip through a specific
sim.
part of the wall, which leads us to a keypad. But how do you find the code? To the left, through a doorway, there is a tape on the wall.
Quem vem
The
lá?
label says code is
Meu pai.
RSVC.
E ele, né?
Aí chegou.
E aí, Ark?
Não, é o André.
Eu sei.
Ah.
Não.
Caralho.
E que é?
Acho que pirateia Rainbow.
Ah, agora tu quer, eu vou piratear porra nenhuma.
Pra tu comprar o jogo.
This tape is using the NATO phonetic radio
Compra.
communications spelling alphabet. Whatever letter the word starts
Gasta
with is the
dinheirinho
letter
suave.
trying to be communicated. This code is telling us that how many times a certain letter is
E
said,
deposite na
the number
conta.
is in the code. Following this system, we get the code 6224.
Aproveita
This
e
gives us access
diminui
to
a
a
conta.
long hallway with a button at the other end.
Isso aí,
When we press the
Boa.
button,
Caralho,
Ah, velho, se soubesse que tava. De ter caixa aberta,
Eu
eu tava-
não sei o Diego tá em dúvida.
Não,
Não.
não.
Ah,
Eu tô streamando somente no YouTube. Aí vai assistir.
graças a Deus. Tô brincando.
Eu tava vendo, você começou logo.
Colocar de fundo agora que eu sei.
These obelisks depict Stumbler, Chief Wolf,
Não vai pegar,
Shaggy,
pegar aqui.
respectively. There's a painting of this that is shown in Giovanni's Layer 2 and in the
Cara, minha
main
cachorra
menu.
acabou de passar
Using the
muito
boat,
fome.
we can
A gente
enter
vai
the
levar ela
Stumbler
pro veterinário.
obelisk,
velho.
and after some jumping,
Passou o
we
quê?
enter a long spiraling staircase that brings us to another
A
room.
cachorra tá passando
Some
mal.
more jumping, and we unlock a door that leads us back to Layer 3.
Ah,
As of
Maria.
now, there isn't anywhere else to go.
A Maria tem quantos anos mesmo, direção da sua cachorra?
We have to enter Layer
Pô,
3.
cara, agora que eu tô com a cabeça
In this
eu não
room,
sei,
there are
mas
buttons
tem
on
um
the wall
pouquinho.
and a computer in the top left corner. After pressing the buttons, the
Ela
computer
não
shows us
nasceu
how to
aí
change
na sua
four numbers
casa.
on the wall.
Não.
4923. Using this code in the next room lets us continue into Layer 3.
Caramba, que sou perna bomba, velho.
Before we
Puta que
continue,
pariu, ainda morre,
the
né, cara?
computer in this room is interactable. And when interacted with, opens a web page on your respective browser. This web page is the official Cogware Games site, and it reads as
Ela tá
follows.
de máscara?
Cogware Games
Não.
was originally an
Ah.
idea that brands out in Silicon Valley
Tá encoxando aí, me fudidamente.
Entrou.
Eu.
Oi, Fefs.
E aí, Mr. P?
We put innovation at the
Oi.
forefront. With our
Olá.
first ever demo of the game Blundercover being a hit with crowds over at local conventions in 1995, and a thriving partnership with Broadside Animation Company, leading to the creation of the Magnus.
Aí todo mundo.
We also got to get in our hands dirty with game development. After
Fala,
all,
gente.
Ai,
the name
quem
comes
sair é
from
hétero.
every cog in a machine has to be working together to create a meaningful result. We here at Cog
Ó, essa tona aí, ó, essa tona aí.
Esse primato que eles são amigos.
Meu amigo?
É.
Não, não ficou não.
Let's keep innovation at the forefront. We can make amazing things together.
Soon, we cross another hallway. Two notes from the lead developer, Connor, tells us this area is off limits and is for staff only. But
Tá duro.
if you really want
Tá
to go down
duro.
there, then feel free.
Depende
Be
do que
warned.
você tem
Through
a
the door,
dizer.
we find ourselves at a staircase covered
geralmente
in
fala,
graffiti of
"Você
various
que tá
characters,
mamado,
a game of
você tá-"
Hangman, and markings telling us to stay out. But we press on and
Do
find
que o senhor
ourselves
precisa.
at Layer
Você
3.
tá querendo jogar.
At this point, Bucky
Sabe.
is pleading with us to head back to the island. Whatever is down here, he doesn't want to see
Ó,
or
chegou meus
interact
cabos de
with.
rede, conectei.
But his words fall on deaf
Olha,
ears.
você
There's also a tape here.
Isso é
Não.
ótimo.
The label is in a language we can't
Ótima
translate for
forma
the
de
time
testar.
being. But for the sake of documentation,
É...
this tape is labeled Olivia.
Tem que abrir o parceiro. E até agora o console não foi o cabo de rede foi desconectado, então tá aprovado.
Como eu disse? Gente, o Santi mandou um crime culinário lá no Subroom, velho.
De novo?
Vamos lá ver, eu prefiro não... Eu não...
Qual o label?
Lentilha, arroz, ovo.
Banana.
É, tem banana e um suco de morango.
Cadê o negócio? Tá aí no açúcar não, velho.
Pegou um potássio de doce de leite,
In
pegou um
front of us
couro,
is a
passou lá e
sign. This too is in a
virou.
language we can't
Eu vou
translate.
perguntar pra ele.
But nonetheless, it says
Master de lenterras.
For Layer 3, we are given a candle and a fleeting attempt to see our surroundings.
O MP tá vivo pra revisão de
The
merge?
tape and the location itself is enough of an indicator for you that things are about to get real. This
Eu só
location
tenho
seems
uma
to be
partida gravada
private.
também, foi
There isn't
a
anything here to do, so we have to proceed through the door in
Eu
front of
esqueci
us.
de falar.
Which
Por
brings
que
us
que ele
here.
traduziu o ar?
There is graffiti on the walls that
Eu tenho
resemble the
as
scribblings
duas,
of a
a
madman.
do
I can't figure
contra a
out what they
Colômbia e
mean,
contra o
and there's
Chile.
only one way to go from here for the time
Eu
being.
perguntei lá, velho, se era
because
suco
it
de
is
morango.
locked. Through the next door, in
Olha,
front of us is
traduziu os
another.
bagulho, velho.
Ela tomou todinho sem chacoalhar.
Ai,
Eu acho.